Hi, this is Clara Rose, and this is Influence Matters, the show where each week I share tips, tricks, tools, resources, hacks, whatever you want to call them, to help influence builders just like you to strategically and intentionally cultivate their influence, because we know that that's going to organically generate leads, right, for our business, ministry, or cause. So that's why we're here each week. And of course, before we get started, we want to take just a minute to thank our sponsor, Rosedale Publishing. So they help bring this show to you each week. They specialize in business books for professionals and entrepreneurs. So thank you, Rosedale Publishing. And of course, we have to give a shout out to Tampa Bay Multimedia and WeBeam TV for making this show possible. Okay, today's an exciting day. And yes, I'm wearing a hat, which, if you know me, I don't wear hats. So there's a hat crushing my hair right now, and there's balloons, because today is a super exciting day. So you know that we usually start the show with a question from a viewer. Today, however, we are not having a question from a viewer. And why is that? Because today is an exciting day. No question today, because guess what's happening? Guess what happened today? Drum roll, please. Okay, I don't know how to drum roll while I'm holding this, so no drum roll. Today, our book finally launched. So my latest book, 8 Ways to Mind Your Own Business, this is strategy and mindset for the new entrepreneur, is now available. It is live, which is super exciting. And because we're celebrating that today, we're going to have the lovely Debbie Clement-Large back on the show today, my co-author from across the pond, to help celebrate the launch of our new book together. So, welcome, Debbie.
Yay!
Yay!
It's really good to be here.
What an exciting adventure this has been, right?
It has been such fun. It's been wonderful working with you. I know that I've learned such a lot from working with you, and we have had a laugh, and we've put together some really great information, I think.
We have. So one of the things that we're going to do today to celebrate our launch, and it's been out for a few days now. We talked about it a little bit a couple weeks ago that it was coming out. You can get your very own checklist. So if you are a brand new business with kind of wobbly legs, wondering, what am I doing? Am I doing this right? Or you have an idea for a business. You're thinking, I'm getting out of the rat race and into a different rat race, if you will, and starting my own business. So we've created just for you a checklist, if you will. Excuse me, I had a cough. A checklist of the 8 ways to mind your own business, but it's a startup checklist for you. So everything that's in the book, but just condensed down to this great little quick sneak peek for you. And you can get your very own copy today by going to inspiredbusinessmatters.com. Pop it in your email. It's going to ask you to confirm your email, and then voila, you'll get it showing up in your email, and you can download your very own copy. And then, of course, you can buy our book as well, because it's out. But today what we're doing is we're going to go through those 8 pieces one at a time and talk about them from 2 perspectives. So my perspective, which is the tactical, I like to call it tactical, but it's really the business basic tangible things, if you will, about starting a business. And then, of course, Debbie's going to talk about the other side of things, which is
the mindset. Which, of course, if you don't get the right mindset in place, you sabotage yourself and you don't support all the lovely stuff that Clara shows you.
Very true. Okay, let's get started. Okay, I'm going to cough. I'm sorry. I usually have a water with me and I didn't bring one. Okay. So the first one is passion. So this is the first way to mind your own business, and it's all related to passion. So I'm going to talk about passion first, and then Debbie will take a turn talking about passion from her perspective, from the other side of the coin, if you will. Okay. So I call it Passion Matters, or Matters of Passion, just like the Influence Matters show, right? So first of all, thank you to my wonderful producer for giving me a drink of water. And leaving that on the screen so I could take a drink of water. Thank you, thank you. They take such good care of us here. Okay, so let's talk about Passion Matters. Very first thing that you need to work on when you're thinking of heading down a new road, taking this entrepreneurial journey, is making sure that you do some self-discovery. So self-discovery is really just looking at some things about you, right? What do I want to do with my day? What do I want to do with the time each day? It can be super easy to start something, go down a road, get there and go, this is totally not what I thought it was going to be, and not love what you're doing. So self-discovery is absolutely where I start everyone when I work with them. If you're doing this on your own, that's totally fine too, but start there. Do self-discovery, find out what makes you happy, what makes you feel fulfilled, so that when you build this amazing business, it's going to be a business that you love. Of course, it's going to include some due diligence. It's going to have you do some research. The checklist will go into this in more depth, of course, for you, but the book will even go deeper, a deeper dive. And then we have a workbook coming out in a couple of months that is a companion to this, which will take you even deeper if you need that. And then finally, plan. If you're not a planner, that can be scary, but I promise you the time to make your decisions and plan is before you start. It's easier to make adjustments before the concrete sets, right? Okay. All right. So Debbie, tell us about the inspired passion side of a passion.
I think you've said some of the stuff that's really important already. You've said about doing what you love. Now, this is really important. We do things for different reasons. Sometimes we do things because we think we ought to do them, or it's because that's what we know, or that's what other people expect us to do. But actually, what do you really want to do? Did you know that 9 out of 10 people do their jobs just for the money? So that's really not following your bliss. You're just existing. You're not really living when you do that. And I know it can be hard to step out sometimes to do something that you really want, but you can do it in baby steps. And it all starts, a bit like Clara said, with looking at your goals. What is it you're wanting? Now, I call them intentions because it's softer. So what do you intend to do? But also, what do you intend to be? How do you want to be? So we're thinking about the two parts, the external things that we want to achieve, but also how do we want to be as a person? Because there's a really good quote that says, we don't get what we want, we get who we are. So this is a really good chance to understand who you really are and what you really want from life.
Very good. Very nice. Okay. You'll want to get this checklist and you'll want to read this book because there's so much more to learn on the inspired side of things for sure. Okay, but let's move on so we have plenty of time for all of our pieces. Let's start talking about the next way, which is your second way, creation. So all things related to creation. Of course, I'm going to talk first about Creation Matters. Creation is absolutely one of my favorite parts. If I could have a job where people would pay me just to create stuff, that would be like my perfect job. Just let me create stuff and I'd be a happy camper. I do a lot of creation in my business anyway because I love it so much. It can be scary. So take a deep breath as you listen to some of the things that you're going to need to think about for the creation process. And I have a list because I want to make sure I don't miss a few. Your company name, of course. And there's lots of things to consider when you're naming your company. Super easy to want to name it something that means something to you personally, but it's not going to mean a thing to the rest of the world. So we need to talk about how that affects your potential business growth and sales. Logo, company colors, who you serve. Those are all the foundation of your business. Those things, you can't just necessarily wing them along the way. You have to have some of those basics before you can even get a business card, right? So you have to have some of those decisions made before you can move forward with that. Your core values, of course, understanding what those are, because those will guide your decisions as you're going through this process. And then getting your goals out of your head and onto paper, you can actually see them and do something with them. So that's just a kind of an overview. This is kind of a lengthy one. You'll want to learn more about that. Tell us about the inspiration side, Debbie.
Yes, so what you said is really important. And I think it's really important as well to get our thinking in that right place, to get our thoughts into alignment with what we want to create. It's really easy to say, I'd like that, but. And that but is a really big wedge that gets in the way between where we are now and what we're wanting to achieve. So the language we use is key. And there's an exercise I take you through about push me, pull you. Mm-hmm. And if you remember the Dr. Dolittle, there's a double-headed llama. I think it's a llama. It's an animal. So it's a bit like that with our thinking. So we either go in one direction, we want something, we really believe that we can achieve it, we feel really great about what we're creating, we feel inspired, or we doubt and we worry. And when we doubt and worry and we get frustrated and get irritated, we're moving away from what we want. So it's taking those intentions of creating those business, all the things that you've talked about, Clara, and then protecting, nourishing, supporting, and allowing those intentions to grow. And one of the important things, as I said, is the language to enable us to believe, to move in that direction of really creating the thing that we want to create.
So important, because words matter. Absolutely. Ooh, I could write something on that. Okay, let's move on to the next way. So our next way is business matters. So this is the third way. We're on the third way. Yeah, third way to mind your own business related to business matters. And business matters are just the bits and pieces that are beyond just the creation of your foundation, your name, your colors, and stuff like that. Let's talk about business matters for just a minute. So before you get started, it is a really good idea to talk to an accountant, tax attorney, whoever you need to talk to about the creation of the structure of your business. So for instance, I have an S corporation. So lots of people have LLCs, limited liability corporations. Some people are sole proprietors. Some people have a standard corporation. And there are some pros and cons to both of them. So how you structure your business is going to be totally dependent on what works for you. S corporations work for me because I like the income to pass through to me personally for taxes, because I pay less tax that way, but I'm protected as a corporation. So lots of good information that you're going to need to know. The book does go in more deeply into each of the different options for you, but ultimately you're going to talk to a tax professional and get their opinion, because I am not a tax professional. Been in business for many years, but I'm not a tax professional. And then, of course, there are different license requirements depending on what you do. If you're a chiropractor or a health professional or something like that, you're going to have one license, but you may not realize that you also have to have a business license in your state. You might even have to have a business license in your county. Of course, this is all related to the U.S. because that's where my experience lies. Things are going to be different perhaps in a different country. Like where Debbie is, things are a little bit different. So there's surely somebody that you can call to find out those differences. You want to make sure that you have that peace of mind of knowing that you're doing it right from the get-go. And then, of course, something that people rarely think about is if you're going to work for yourself, what's missing from the employer-employee arrangement? That could be health benefits. It could be, supplemental coverage, things of that nature. Of course, you're going to have business insurance, E&O insurance for yourself in your new business. Those other pieces are important to think about as well. Tell us something about the inspired side of the business matters.
So all the things you've talked about are really important things to think about, and they can feel overwhelming if we're not careful. We can get caught up in having to make a decision. So one of the things that I cover is looking at decisions, how we make decisions. How do we know what's the right decision for us? So one of the exercises I go through is the point of understanding that no matter who we talk to, whether we go to friends, whether we go to people that have set up already in business, whether we're going to specialists, we go to 100 people and ask their opinion, we could end up with 100 different answers. Yep. So one of the exercises is exploring what feels right for you, because the answers that you really need are within you. Now, we can get external information and advice, but really that decision making then comes down to us and what feels right for us. And then one of the other things we look at is dealing with challenges, because when we're starting off on this journey, no matter all the pieces that we're putting together, there are going to be times when there is something to overcome, that there's a bit of a challenge to deal with. And I share with you a really good exercise for understanding how you subconsciously deal with challenges. Because when you know that, you can actually understand how your workings of your mind and what decisions and any knee-jerk reactions you're taking. And then you can sit back and be a little more measured and a little bit more inspired in your thinking. So all these exercises I'm taking you through are actually really helping you to make the decisions that Clara is taking you through with the strategy.
With a different eye, right? That's been one of the really exciting things for me as a co-author, all the things that I've learned through this process, working from a totally different perspective on a business, which I've been in business for years and years and many years. I'll just say that. Had my first business when I was 18, but this is a totally different perspective on all of it. So great stuff. Okay, let's move on to the next one so we don't run out of time. And this is all about operations. So the fourth way to mind your own business is all related to operations. So operations, you might think, I have no idea what you're talking about, Clara, and I'm going to tell you what operations are. Okay. Operations are all of the things that you have, that you do in the daily course of action in your business. Getting yourself set up to do those effectively is what I'm talking about. So taking the time to get organized, creating your systems, your files, your forms, all of those things that you're going to need before you need them. Right? You need to stop and think about the customer journey. Everything that's going to happen from the time they first hear about your business, all the steps along the way, that's what I call the customer journey, how they're interacting with you and your business and how you're interacting with them. So keeping track of who they are, keeping track of what they've purchased, have you sent out the thank you, all of those pieces, that's all operations. So those are all the things that you're going to need to know and be on top of. And then, of course, showing gratitude, planning to show gratitude to your customers, because guess what? If you don't have customers, you don't have a business. So super important for that piece. So all of those operations things really do matter. But so does the other side. So tell us a little bit about operations from your perspective.
Yeah, you mentioned customer journey, and that is really important. And I take them through the customer journey through using their imagination. So feeling what it's like to be a customer, understanding all the different channels that customers come into contact with you. And then I take that into decluttering your thinking. It's because our heads can get so full of, I have to do this, I have to do that, and all the different forms and processes that you were talking about. And there's ways to declutter that, to get back into taking inspired action. And also looking at the environment around you. So if you're working in a place that's really cluttered, has lots of paperwork and files and that around, actually that can get in the way of our thinking too. So listening to intuition, taking inspired action, understanding your customers and using your imagination to put yourself in their place is quite important from my point of view with that section.
Quite important, especially the clutter thing. I don't even start working at my desk if there's clutter, because it makes me anxious. I'm like, there's chaos. So those are really great exercises to help you declutter and get rid of some of that stuff. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. So next one is prosperity. So the fifth way to mind your own business is related to prosperity. And prosperity is something that people think of in different ways. So we're going to talk about prosperity from perhaps a perspective that you're not thinking. Okay, so prosperity matters. You want to attract the right customer, not the bargain hunter. Unless you happen to be, that's your niche, is that you're the bargain basement stuff. Most of the time, it needs to be values based. So what value do I offer to attract the right customers into my business? And then prosperity is really just a matter of your budget. Right? It's the money in, money out, keeping track of those things. We need to know that we're bringing enough money in to pay our bills, including us, because, by the way, we need to make money in our business. And then money out. What does it take to run my business? Are you starting up this business, bootstrapping it? Are you self-funding this? Or are you going to get some financial assistance? You're going to get a loan or whatever. All of those things need to be taken into consideration from the get-go. So you know how you're going to pay for these things, including your own salary, if you've given up your full-time job to make this happen. So you definitely want the deeper dive on that, my friend. Tell us about the inspired side of that.
So you're right. Money is really important. It's a commodity we use. But if I said, what is wealth? Would you attach that to how much money you've got in the bank or what assets you have? And if you do, I'd say to you, well, actually, wealth is a mindset. And I take you through some really great stories in the book, which actually helps you to understand that you can have millions and millions in the bank and yet have a poverty consciousness. Or you can just have a few notes to your name and you feel prosperous. So it's a mindset around prosperity and wealth is really, really important. And it's shifting from a place of wanting, but feeling the lack of what you don't have, into believing and to really expecting. And of course, you've mentioned this already before around gratitude, being grateful for what you have, being grateful when you can pay the bills, being grateful for the money that is coming in.
It's good.
That's a huge way to generate more prosperity.
Very good. Yes. Super important to be able to pay those bills. Okay, moving along. Connection. So connection matters. This is your sixth way, and it's all about the connections related to your business. So I'm talking your online connections and your offline connections because they're both equally important. One of the first things that I would say about connections is you need to get really comfortable with some people call it a 2-minute commercial. Whatever it is, people say, what do you do? Right? So that's your opportunity to say what you do, having a really good handle on what it is that you do so you can articulate it intelligently to your potential customer. Super important. And then I just say, show up, speak up, make a difference wherever you go, online or offline, so you can make connections with potential customers. What about the inspired side of this?
You focused on everything that's external, making connections with others, which, as a business owner is really important. But I would say, to start off, what's the connection with yourself like? Do you like yourself? Do you approve of yourself? Do you love yourself? And that's really the most important connection we can ever have, because if we don't like ourselves, it's really hard to really like other people. We're likely to be more judgmental or slightly more critical because we're being critical of ourselves. Yeah. So liking, approving and loving ourselves is a really strong connection to make. And you can't make everybody happy. When you're making connections with other people, like Clara said, maybe you're out networking or you're just speaking about your business and giving your pitch, you're not going to make everybody happy. So be authentic to you. You will connect and attract the right tribe to you when you are true to who you are.
Be authentic.
And then I go into using the power of story. So stories are really great for making connections.
Yes, absolutely true. Okay, we're running out of time here. Let's move on to our next one really quick and talk about customer matters. Customers, we already said, were super important, right? Those are the people that pay the bills. Right, without customers. So the seventh way is all about customer matters. So all I have to say about customer matters, other than these are the people who pay your salary, my friend, you need to master the art of serving your customer. Right? It's all about working from a place of integrity and serving well. The end result is that your customer walks away a satisfied customer. Remember that they are your most valuable asset. Employees are important too, but these are the people who pay your salary. So really important. Customers do matter. Talk really quickly about the inspired side of customers, my friend.
Yeah, and I think there's a really quick thing to say is that be of service. Don't look to what I can get out from my customers, but how I can serve them. Changing that mindset makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Okay, let's be fast and furious here. Our last, employee matters. So the 8th way to mind your own business is all about your employees. Those are the people that help you succeed, the people that make a difference in your business. Unless you're a solopreneur, which is fine if you are, you will have employees. You'll have people to, if not contract employees, actual employees that you pay a salary to. And I would say consider all of your options for extra help. You might have interns, you might have apprentices, contract workers. Look at all of your options before making a decision to onboard people to help you with your business, and then equip them well so that you're setting them up for success. And then be kind. Be the kind of leader that you would want to follow. Be the kind of a boss that you would like to be. Really quickly, tell us about the inspired side of it, because we are running out of time, my friend.
We are. So I would look about communicating your needs, whether we're passive or aggressive with the language we use, how to have difficult conversations, because sometimes we need those, and actually setting our own boundaries, but really being a great listener. Those are the key things, I think, with other people.
Okay, so we are just going to have to wrap this up really quick. Don't forget that our book is now available. InspiredBusinessMatters.com. You can get our checklist, or you can go to Amazon, of course. And then really quickly, I have to do this. Because this is our launch party, and it's super exciting for both of us. There, she's got a whistle too. Thank you for joining me again, Debbie, and thank you guys for joining us this week to celebrate the launch of our new book. We are so excited to have you with us, and of course, I look forward to seeing you next week, same time, same place on my show, Influence Matters.